'Tis a fearful thing to love what death can touch. A fearful thing to love, to hope, to dream, to be, and oh, to lose. A thing for fools this, and a holy thing to love. For your life has lived in me, your laugh once lifted me, your word was gift to me. To remember this brings painful joy. 'Tis a human thing, love, a holy thing to love, what death has touched. Welcome to Shir Tikva. My name is Rabbi Sharon Stiefel, and along with Jane Newman and Rabbi Joey Glick, we will be officiating today. It is with much sadness that we gather to honor the memory of Cookie Montgomery, Miriam Leah. We recall the blessing of her life. We thank God for all that was good and true in her life, and for the precious memories which shall endure. The words of the psalmist have brought comfort to people throughout the generations, and so may they bring comfort now. Psalm 121.
Shamayim va'aretz, Ezri me'im Adonai, Oseh Shamayim va'aretz.
I lift my eyes to the mountains. What is the source of my help? My help comes from Adonai, maker of heaven and earth. God will not let your foot give way. Your protector will not slumber. See, the protector of Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. God is your guardian. God is your protection at your right hand. The sun will not strike you by day, nor the moon by night. God will guard you from all harm. God will guard your soul, your going and coming, now and forever. From the book of Ecclesiastes, Kohelet. For everything there is a season, a time for every experience under heaven, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to uproot what is planted, a time to tear down and a time to build up, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to grieve and a time to dance, a time to throw stones and a time to gather stones, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to seek and a time to lose, a time to keep and a time to discard, a time to tear and a time to sow, a time to keep silence and a time to speak. I'd now like to invite up Cheryl Hornstein, Cookie's dear friend, to read a poem.
When will I be myself again? Some Tuesday, perhaps. In the late afternoon, sitting quietly with a cup of tea and a cookie. Or Wednesday, same time or later, you will stir from a nap and see her. You will pick up the phone to call her. You will hear her voice, unexpected advice, and maybe argue. And you will not be frightened, and you will not be sad, and you will not be alone, not alone at all, and your tears will warm you. But not today, and not tomorrow, and not tomorrow's tomorrow, but someday, some Tuesday, late in the afternoon, sitting quietly with a cup of tea and a cookie, and you will be yourself again.
Psalm 23.
מזמור לדוד, אדוני רואי לו אחסר, בינות דשא ירביצני, ומי מנוחות ינחלני. נפשי ישובב, נפשי ישובב, ינחני במעגלי צדק למען שמו. גם כי אלך בגץ המוות, לא אירא רע, כי אתה עמדי. שבטך ומשענתך, שבטך ומשענתך, וינחמוני. תערוך לפני שולחן, תערוך לפני שולחן, תערוך לפני שולחן, נגד צוררי. דשנת ושמן ראשי, דשנת ושמן ראשי, דשנת ושמן ראשי, כוסי רוויה. אך טוב החסד ירדפוני, ירדפוני כל ימי חיי, ושבתי בבית אדוני, ושבתי בבית אדוני לאורך ימים.
As I recite Psalm 23, please feel free to join me if you know it. God is my shepherd, I shall not want. God makes me lie down in green pastures, leads me beside still waters, and restores my soul. You lead me in right paths for the sake of your name. Even when I walk in the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You have set a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You have anointed my head with oil. My cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of God forever. The rabbis tell us that there are two kinds of tears that are shed when someone dies. One is dema'ot shel ashan, tears that pour out like smoke and then disappear. These are tears for someone we barely knew, a casual acquaintance. The second type of tears is dema'ot shel peirot, fruitful tears, tears that bear fruit and enrich the earth. These are the tears shed for someone who touched our lives. All of us gathered here this morning shed this second type, dema'ot shel peirot, for Cookie Montgomery had a way of enriching the lives of everyone who knew her. When preparing for a funeral, I meet with the family to hear about their loved one. Usually there are 4 or 5 relatives and friends present. Tuesday night, when I sat with James, Laura, Cynthia, Margaret, Mishy, Daniel, Shaylee, Terry, Paul, Chris, Aaron, Mary Lou, Mavis, Shane, Emery, and Eamon, it was obvious that Cookie cast a wide net of community and drew many into her circle of both family and friends. For Cookie, the definition of family was expansive. When she married Peter, her sweet pea, his family became her family. When Cynthia moved here from Mexico and couldn't care for her kids for 6 months, Peter and Cookie came through in a big way, giving the family a safe place to land. Cheryl said, Cookie meant so much to our whole family. She was part of the chain of tradition at both my kids' B'nai Mitzvah, as our parents passed away before my kids were born. She was so honored to be asked to do that. But really, the honor was ours to have her in our lives and the lives of my kids. She has been a special bubby to all of us. Cookie insisted on connecting with everyone. Paul shared that when Cookie would visit a doctor or healthcare worker and they addressed her as Myra, she would immediately say, first of all, call me Cookie. And then she would make a connection by finding out a little about them before getting down to business. When recovering at Shalom recently, she asked her Muslim caregivers how to wish them a happy Ramadan. Cookie never met a stranger. Everyone she encountered was a potential friend. She built a friendship with her car mechanic. She began her friendship with Chris after she offered her a hug at the benefits orientation at the Children's Home Society. Cookie met Mary Lou in the laundry room of her building, and they became besties. Cookie grew up in St. Paul, and from the outset was fiercely independent and determined. In kindergarten, one day she simply left school in the middle of the day and walked home. She told her parents that she was bored, as she had already read what was presented to her. That independence and determination meant that Cookie could also be a bit opinionated and stubborn. Cookie and her family members didn't always see eye to eye, and once she was determined, she would not let go. Yet, she had the capacity to grow and change over the years, including being able to apologize. Over time, she would recognize mistakes made in the past, say she was sorry, make amends, and repair relationships. After understanding the significance of using the correct gender pronouns, she became a proponent to her friends of defending the need for using preferred pronouns. Emery shared a story of Cookie telling Jaden, "You're such a beautiful boy," or girl, "I don't know which." And Jaden responded, "That's okay, Ema, I don't know either." Cookie had a great zest for life and many varied interests. She was a voracious reader. She learned from her Aunt Irene how to play mahjong and played with the same group for over 25 years. She loved going to the theater and volunteered as an usher at the Park Square Theater so she could see the shows for free. Cookie loved going to concerts and often went with Mavis and Shane. She was especially fond of hearing her cousin, Patty Peterson, sing jazz. She enjoyed Minnesota Gopher games and went regularly to Lynx games with Wayne. And she loved grocery shopping, which is good because Cookie was a great cook. James shared that his mom made the best food, be it kugel, kasha, brisket, or roast beef. If someone was sick, she would bring chicken soup, beef barley soup, or kugel. According to Chris, if Cookie went out to brunch, she would peruse the menu, pointing at this item or that, and say, "I could make that at home." It took a long time before she found something to order that she couldn't have cooked herself. Cookie loved her Shir Tikva community. Jane told me Cookie had attended Friday evening services religiously, was the ONA captain extraordinaire for years and years, putting out the treats after services. Everyone knew Cookie, and she would often be the first to greet you when you arrived. Rabbi Deborah Rappaport shared, Cookie was a big, fun, feisty love. She always had love in her heart and was hilarious as well as warm and welcoming, open to new learning. Cookie never stopped missing her beloved Peter, and I hope they are now reunited. The world was a better place for having had Cookie in it, and my life was better for having known her. Rabbi Stacy Offner, Shir Tikva's emeritus rabbi, shared these words. I am so sad to learn of Cookie's death. She was a dream of a human being, kind, caring, and always with a smile on her face, even when dealing with her own set of troubles. Cookie was a fixture at Shir Tikva from the very beginning of time. She was one of the early founders of Shir Tikva. In the early days of Shir Tikva, Cookie took on the job of finding volunteers to light the Shabbat candles every Friday night. When the time came for announcements, Cookie would stand up at her seat and announce, I am Cookie Montgomery, the candle lighting lady, and urge people to come see her at the Oneg to let her know they would volunteer to light candles. Candle lighting lady is an appropriate name for Cookie, as she brought light to so many of us for so long. We have lost a dear friend, a charmer, a mensch, and a lovely, lovely lady. She will be missed. Zichrono livracha. We are blessed by her memory as we were blessed by her life. This Shabbat, we read the Torah portions of Achrei Mot and Kedoshim. On the surface, the combination of these portions is functional, enabling us to complete the required readings in time to begin the Torah again on Simchat Torah. On a deeper level, however, the link of these two portions suggests a far more profound connection between them. Achrei Mot, Kedoshim. After death, there is holiness. How do we move through this very difficult and human experience of death and loss and emerge on the other side with a sense of wholeness and holiness? How do we shed our tears and still find our wholeness again? It is through the memories of what Cookie meant to family, to friends, to community that continue to live on in our minds and hearts. Death is not the enemy of life, but its companion, for it is the knowledge that our years are limited which makes them so precious. Ironically, death enhances memory and makes even more vivid all that is meaningful and lasting. Death cannot erase a life and the love that ennobled it. True, we will not see Cookie again, nor hear her familiar voice. That is, we will not see with our eyes, nor hear as we heard before. But in our hearts and through our memories, we will forever feel Cookie's loving connection. We pause for a moment of personal prayer, reflection, or memory. In a moment, I'll ask you to rise for the memorial prayer El Maleh, after which we will proceed to Mount Zion Cemetery. Shiva takes place this evening at 6 p.m. here at Shir Tikva and at 3 p.m. on Sunday at Shalom East in St. Paul. So Shiva tonight here at 6 p.m., Shalom East in St. Paul, 3 p.m. on Sunday. The family asks that contributions be made to Shir Tikva in Cookie's memory. Please rise as you are able.
Let's take a collective breath in together and out. El Melech Rachamim, Shochen Bamromim, Hamtzeh Menucha Nechona, Al Kanfat Ashchina, B'mahalot Kedoshim Utaharim, Kezohar harakia,
Mazhirim L'nishmat Miriam Leah Bat Helen Vaed Shehachala Leholama Be'avor Shabli Nederaten Tzedakah Be'ad HaZekarat Nishmata Began Eden Dia Menuchata Lachen Bal Rachamim Yatztira Beseter Kanfa Leolamim V'yirtza B'tzora Hechayim Et Nishmata Adonai Hu Nachlata V'tanua V'shalom Al Mishkana V'nomar Amen.
Compassionate God, eternal Spirit of the universe, grant perfect rest in your sheltering presence to Cookie Montgomery, Miriam Leah Bat Helen Ve'ed, who has entered eternity. O God of mercy, let her find refuge in your eternal presence, and let her soul be bound up in everlasting life. God is her inheritance. May Cookie rest in peace, and let us say, Amen.